Well, you guys are headed to Anaheim to start. I think you guys start in like a half hour, so we gotta get going here so you can catch that.
I got an hour. I got an hour. So let's just slow this
All right.
down.
All right. You might notice I'm distracted. I keep looking over because all I see are home runs and base runners circling the bases in this Tigers Texas game. So
Oh,
it's gonna be I have to catch up a lot on this. But you're headed to Anaheim to face the Angels, and that leads to some shit we couldn't make up. This weekend, the Angels were in Colorado, and
woo, man.
believe it was Saturday night. They ended up winning a game 25-1, the largest run differential since 2007. They were up 23 to nothing after the fourth inning. Uh, just an amazing. I can't imagine being at that game, especially since it was in Colorado, watching your home team getting drubbed like that. What that scenario would be like. Um, every Angels starting hitter had 2 hits in the game, at least 2 hits, except one Shohei Ohtani, believe it or not. The current leader in AL All-Star voting, the hands down All-Star leading or MVP leading candidates for the AL. I was thinking we haven't talked much about Shohei because he's not on a team we cover. I actually really don't like the Angels for how much they've underachieved with superstar players, taking them away from the spotlight, hiding them over on the West Coast in anonymity, however you say that. uh, but it's a frustrating team. But I feel like we need to talk about Shohei a little more. I mean, what he's doing is so outrageous. It's ridiculous. I feel like we've been doing this podcast for a while. Future historians will look back on us and question what our judgment is if we haven't spoken about the feats of one Shohei Ohtani more often. But he's currently got a 5.4 WAR, which in context, he leads second place Ronald Acuna Jr. by 1.2 WAR. He's only got a 4.2 WAR, so he's blowing out the competition in that regard. He's got an OPS over 1,000. He leads the majors in home runs with 25. He also leads them in extra base hits, also RBI with 61. But then he also has an ERA just over 3, a WHIP just over 1. He's got 117 strikeouts, which is good for fourth best in the majors. It's unreal. The idea that he would be an MVP just with his offensive stats, but throw in he's maybe not the best starter in the American League, but he's amongst the top 5, top 10 easily. It's crazy. I'm also attuned to this because I drafted him in our fantasy baseball league this year for the first time, and of course I'm running away with it at this point. This is my chance to kind of talk about my first place Motor City rebuild for a fantasy league. I'm kind of running away with it. I'm kind of feeling guilty because Shohei Ohtani is turning out to be a cheat code in fantasy because I can start him 4 days a week as my best offensive player, and then I throw him in as my best pitcher once a week. So when I drafted him, I drafted 2 top players at once. So I'm not complaining. I'm thinking as commissioner and you're kind of the co-commissioner, we might need to discuss if this is an unfair advantage in our fantasy league. He's been available. He's in our league, at least. He was not activated properly, I believe, by the owners who drafted him, who remain nameless. But they were not moving him from a position player to a starter. They were just holding him as a position player or a starter. I forget.
Actually, one person held him as a starting fucking
the whole
pitcher.
the whole year.
Yeah.
So I'm actively moving my roster around so I can get both these players out of one, and I'm starting to run away with it. So we might need to make a rule that we cannot draft Shohei Ohtani ever again because this feels unfair. I am the architect of this and I'm the beneficiary, but I feel kind of bad about it. It's like something that fantasy baseball players could have never anticipated, or how the rules work, how this is working out. But we'll get deeper into
Baseball
that
has a
maybe.
way to giveth and taketh away. So
It does. All right.
we'll wait to see how the season ends before we start crowning champions before that. It's very fun.
I just
Seeing
had to
as
get that.
you,
Just had to get that
seeing
out
as
there.
seeing as there's been 4 of us who have been in first place, last place, and every other fucking position throughout this season. But yeah, Shohei Ohtani is a phenom. You're right. We should talk about him more. Maybe we just have like an amazing Ohtani stat of the week or something
Yeah, I
once
feel
a
like
week or
history
something.
history won't look on us favorably
Yeah, there might be
when they
like,
see this podcast later.
look at those 2 fucking curmudgeons talking about their shitty AL Central all the time. Then they travel out to the West Coast and they never bring up Ohtani. They don't cover him till he's at the end of his career when he finally is on the Giants at age 45. That's ridiculous.
Word Hole Media.